The Duchess was so overcome with relief that she fell to the ground in a faint. When the police had taken away the fearsome burglar known as the Cobra, and the fainting Duchess had been carried into the house by her servants, the old Duke stood on the lawn with the Giraffe, the Pelican, the Monkey, and me. "Look!" cried the Monkey. "That rotten burglar's bullet has made a hole in my poor Pelly's beak." "That's done it," said the Pelican. "Now it won't be used for holding water when we clean windows." "Don't you worry about that, my dear Pelly," said the Duke, patting him on the beak. "My chauffeur will put a patch over it the same way he mends the tyres on his rolls. Right now, we have far more important things to talk about than a little hole in the beak." We stood there waiting to see what the Duke was going to say next. "Now, listen to me, all of you," he said. "Those diamonds were worth millions, millions and millions, and you have saved them." The Monkey nodded. The Giraffe smiled. The Pelican blushed. "No reward is too great for you," the Duke went on. "I am, therefore, going to make you an offer which I hope will give you pleasure. I hereby invite the Giraffe and the Pelican and the Monkey to live on the estate for the rest of their lives. I shall give you my best and largest hay barn as your private house. Central heating, showers, a kitchen, and anything else you desire for the comfort will be installed. In return, you will keep my windows clean and pick my cherries and my apples. If the Pelican is willing, perhaps he will give me a ride in his beak now and again." "A pleasure, Your Grace," said the Pelican. "Would you like a ride now?" "Later," said the Duke. "I'll have one after tea." At this point, the Giraffe gave a nervous little cough and looked up at the sky. "Is there a problem?" asked the Duke. "If there is, please do let me hear it."
"I don't like to sound ungrateful or pushy," murmured the Giraffe, "but we have one very pressing problem. We are all absolutely famished. We haven't eaten for days."
"My dear Giraffe," cried the Duke, "how very thoughtless of me. Food is no problem around here. I'm afraid it's not quite as easy as that," said the Giraffe. "You see, I myself happen to be—" "Don't tell me," cried the Duke. "I know it already. I'm an expert on animals of Africa. The moment I saw you, I knew you were no ordinary giraffe. You are of the geranious variety, are you not?"
"You are absolutely right, Your Grace," said the Giraffe. "But the trouble with us is that we only eat—"
You don't have to tell me that either," cried the Duke. "I know perfectly well a geranious giraffe can eat only one kind of food. Am I not right in thinking that the pink and purple flowers of the tinkle tinkle tree are your only diet?"
"Yes," sighed the Giraffe, "and that's been my problem ever since I arrived on these shores."
"That is no problem at all here at Hampshire House," said the Duke. "Look over there, my dear Giraffe, and you'll see the only plantation of tinkle tinkle trees in the entire country." The Giraffe looked, gave a gasp of astonishment, and at first she was so overwhelmed she couldn't even speak. Great tears of joy began running down her cheeks. "Help yourself," said the Duke. Eat all you want.
Oh, my sainted souls, gasped Giraffe. Oh, my naked neck. I cannot believe what I'm seeing. The next moment, she was galloping full speed across the lawn and whinnying with excitement, and the last we saw of her was burying her head in the beautiful pink and purple flowers that blossomed on the tops of the trees all around her.
As for the monkey, the Duke went on, I think he also will be pleased with what I have to offer. All over my estate there are thousands of giant nut trees. Nuts? Cried the junkie. What kind of nuts? Walnuts, of course, said the Duke. Walnuts? Screamed the monkey. Not walnuts. You don't really mean walnuts? You're pulling my leg. You're joking. You can't be serious. I must have heard wrong. There's a walnut tree right over there, the Duke said, pointing. The monkey took off like an arrow, and a few seconds later he was high up on the branches of the walnut tree, cracking the nuts and guzzling what was inside. That leaves only the Pelly, said the Duke. Yes, said the Pelican nervously, but I'm afraid that what I eat does not grow on trees. I only eat fish. Would it be too much trouble, I wonder, if I were to ask you for a reasonably fresh piece of haddock or cod every day? Haddock or cod? Cried the Duke, spitting out the words as though he made a bad taste in his mouth. Cast your eyes, my dear Pelly, over there to the south. The Pelican looked across the vast rolling estate, and in the distance he saw a great river. That is the River Hamp, cried the Duke, the finest salmon river in the whole of Europe. Salmon, screeched the Pelican. Not salmon. Do you really mean salmon? It's full of salmon, the Duke said, and I own it. You can help yourself. Before he'd finished speaking, the Pelican was in the air. The Duke and I watched him as he flew full speed towards the river. We saw him circle over the water. Then he dived and disappeared. A few moments later, he was in the air again, and he had a gigantic salmon in his beak. I stood alone with the Duke on the lawn, beside the great house. Well, Billy, he said, I'm glad they're all happy. But what about you, my lad? I am wondering if you happen to have just one extra special little wish, all for yourself. If you do, I'd love you to tell me about it. There was a sudden tingling in my toes. It felt as though something tremendous might be going to happen to me at any moment. Yes, I murmured nervously, I do have one extra special little wish. And what might that be? Said the Duke in a kindly voice. There is an old wooden house near where I live, I said. It's called the Grubber, and long ago it used to be a sweet shop. I've wished and wished that one day somebody might come along and make it into a marvellous new sweet shop all over again. Somebody? Cried the Duke. What do you mean, somebody? You and I will do that. We'll do it together. We'll make it into the most wonderful sweet shop in the world. And you, my boy, will own it. Whenever the Duke got excited, his enormous moustaches started to bristle and jump about. Right now, they were jumping up and down so much it looked as though he had a squirrel on his face. By gad, sir, he cried, waving his stick, I shall buy the place today. Then we'll get to work and have the whole thing ready in no time. You just wait and see what sort of sweet shop we're going to make out of this Grubber place of yours. It was amazing how quickly things began to happen after that. There was no problem about buying a house because it was owned by the Giraffe and the Pelly and the monkey, and they insisted upon giving it to the Duke for nothing. Then builders and carpenters moved in and rebuilt the whole of the inside so that once again it had 3 floors. On all these floors they put together rows and rows of tall shelves, and there were ladders to climb up the highest shelves and baskets to carry what you bought. Then the sweets and chocks and toffees and fudges and nougats began pouring in to fill the shelves. They came by aeroplane from every country in the world, the most wild and wondrous things you could ever imagine. There were gum twizzlers and fizzwinkles from China, froth blowers and spitzels from Africa, tummy ticklers and gobwangles from the Fiji Islands, and lip lickers and plush nuggets from the land of the midnight sun. For the whole 2 weeks, the flood of boxes and sacks continued to arrive. I could no longer keep track of the countries they came from, but you can bet your life that as I unpacked each new batch, I sampled it carefully. I can remember especially the giant wangdoodles from Australia, every one a huge ripe red strawberry hidden inside its crispy chocolate crust, and the electric fizz cocklers and that made every hair on your head stand up straight on end as soon as you popped one in your mouth. And there were niche nobblers and gum glotters and blue bubblers and sherbet slurpers and tongue rakers. And as well as all this, there was a whole lot of splendid stuff from the great Wonka factory itself. For example, the famous Willy Wonka rainbow drops. Suck them and you can spit in 7 different colours. And this stick jaw for talkative parents. And his mint jub jubs that will give the boy next door green teeth for a month. On the grand opening day, I decided to allow all my customers to help themselves for free. And the place was so crowded with children you could hardly move. The television cameras and the newspaper reporters were all there, and the old Duke himself stood outside in the road with my friends and the Giraffe and the Pelly and the monkey watching the marvellous scene. I came out of the shop to join them for a few moments, and I brought each of them a bag of extra special sweets as a present. To the Duke, because the weather was a little chilly, I gave him some scarlet scorch droppers that had been sent to me from Iceland. The label said that they were guaranteed to make a person who sucked them as warm as toast, even if he was standing stark naked in the North Pole in the middle of winter. The moment the Duke popped one in his mouth, thick smoke came gushing out of the old boy's nostrils in such quantities that I thought his moustaches were going to go up in flames. "Terrific!" he cried, hopping about. "Tremendous stuff! I'll take a case of them home with me." To the Giraffe, I gave a bag of Glumptious Glob Gobblers. The Gob Gobbler is an especially delicious sweet that is made somewhere near Mecca, and the moment you bite into it, all the perfumed juices of Arabia go squirting down your gullet, one after the other. "It's wonderful," cried the Giraffe, as a cascade of lovely liquid flavours poured all the way down her long, long throat. "It's even better than my favourite pink and purple flowers." To the Pelican, I gave a big bag of pishlets. Pishlets, as you probably know, are bought by children who are unable to whistle a tune as they walk along the street, but long to do so. They had a splendid effect upon the Pelican, for after he had put one into his beak and chewed it for a while, he suddenly started singing like a nightingale. This made him wildly excited, because pelicans are not songbirds. No pelican had ever been known to whistle a tune before. And to the monkey, I gave a bag of devil's drenches, those small fiery black sweets that one is not allowed to sell to children under 4 years old. When you've sucked a devil's drencher for a minute or so, you can set your breath alight and blow a huge column of fire 20 feet into the air. The Duke put a match to the monkey's breath and shouted, "Blow, monkey, blow!" A sheet of orange flame shot up as high as the roof of the Grubber house, and it was wonderful.